All right, welcome everyone. I'm gonna go over this PVS 18 briefly. Welcome to my late night stream. Let's jump into it. So, this that I have right here is the PVS 18 and is universally hated. And that's for several reasons that I'm gonna go over. But I bought one because I wanted to play around with it to see how bad it was. Because I'm a sucker for punishment. So from Amazon. Particular one set me back $225. Now, that's actually not a bad deal for everything that's included in here. If you're going to buy a PBS 14 at some point and you want to do a setup and you want to use this as a placeholder, then there's nothing wrong with buying this particular unit as a placeholder because it's actually fairly decent for that if that's what you're using it for. But there are better choices on the market in this particular unit. But like I said, I got it to play around with it to see how it really measured up, what's the things that you can do with it, and why is it so hated. So I'll show you what it comes with. Of course, it comes with a carrying case. It also has, of course, the box. It has the what is this? The clone Wilcox mount, which is really the only reason why you would actually buy this. It comes with a bunch of things that you can use if you actually bought an analog PVS 14. So everything you buy for this setting this up, you can transfer over to the other one. Comes with a J-arm. It has a little eyepiece that all of them come with. But really, the main reason why you would actually buy this thing is because you got the Wilcox mount and you got the J-arm. So if you factor that in, it's not a terrible deal because of that. It's still, like I said, it's not my first choice, but you can manage with it. Now, why is this thing so bad and why do people hate it? Some of it is probably the language barrier with the instruction manuals and the listing on it. First of all, this is a digital unit, so whenever you purchase something like this, you need to know what you're getting into. You're going to need to have some type of supplemental illumination for it. The problem with this unit is, I'll show you here. This little bitty dot, that's the IR illuminator. Because of that, this really doesn't illuminate that much, which is one reason why people have such a hard time with it. The other thing that's wrong with this is that because it's a PVS 14, it has all the drawbacks that PVS 14s have, meaning that it's a monocular, it messes with your depth perception. And so because of that, when you're looking at this, you really need to have some of the same things that a PVS 14 would use to overcome that. Mainly, you do need to have one of these irises with a sacrificial lens. And the reason being is Typically, whenever you have a night vision, oh, hey, I see the comments is going. So, how's everybody doing? But typically, whenever you using the night vision, you focus it for infinity, and then you would use the iris, and you can adjust that for objects close, and then when you want to see something far away, you can adjust it for distance. That's just what you're going to have to do with this to make it work. And even then, that alleviates a lot of the issues with it, but the resolution isn't the best, but it's not horrible. Usually, the reason why people have problems with these is because they don't have any lighting. So I purchased this, but this actually goes to my shotgun. But this is actually a vampire light, and it's both a white light and an IR light. If you use something like this, it's pretty decent. Like I said, there's better choices on the market, but if you want to build a PVS, say for instance, you were planning at some point to build a PVS 14 from a parts kit, building an analog, having this as a placeholder until you did all that, there's nothing wrong with that. And the good thing about this one, the parts will transfer over. So as long as you don't spend too much money for this unit, it's not bad. If you bought it for like 200 bucks or like 150, that's about the most I would pay for it. Now, funny thing is, it's another PVS 14 style one that's actually the PVS 18, but it's another digital style one that's on Amazon that would even be better. However, it has even worse reviews than this one. But the good thing about that is the threading right here where the lens is, all that's meant so that you can just screw this sacrificial lens in. This has some type of retaining nut, and I couldn't get that off because it was torqued on. So if you actually purchase that one and bought the stuff extra that you're going to need, you'd probably get a little better performance. There's actually two of them. One of them had good reviews, and the other one had horrible reviews. But these units are probably essentially the same. It's some type of digital camera in it. It's square. It's several things that they could do to make this better. If they had a manual that was actually written in English, more than just a little pamphlet, it would be a big help. Whenever you buy it, let's see here, can I get it where you can see what I'm talking about? This is all you're getting, just this little bitty manual here. And that's it. And that's a help, but there's really not much you can do with this thing here. Oh, I forgot to mention, it does take CR123 style batteries, so that's helpful. So to recap with it, I wouldn't recommend buying it, but if you're going to do a PVS 14 build anyway, it's nothing wrong with having this one. And it's analog. And something else, you can practice good habits with having analog night vision, because if you're a novice and you're really not that familiar with night vision, you don't want to burn your tubes up with light getting it. Some of the newer night vision, they have like auto cutoff functions, or when you lift them up, they cut off automatically. It's good to get those kind of habits ahead of time before you actually jump into it with just using the analog system. The fact that this is a digital camera in essence, and it's not true night vision, that gives you some advantages if you're a novice. One other thing with this unit, people complain about the latency. That's not really latency that you're seeing. What's going on is this does not have any type of IR filter. Obviously, with it being, a night vision camera, if you had an IR filter, you couldn't see in the dark with the light. Well, because of that, if any light hits it, you get the bad distortion that you typically get from light hitting cameras with no IR filter. So that's what's going on with it. As long as you're in total darkness with this and then you're using your vampire light, you should be fine with it. You can change the colors in several different modes on here, but they're essentially the same. They're just changing the color. The reason why I bought it was it looks pretty cool. I just wanted to play around with it. But it's not, like I said, it's not the best choice out there. I know some people like the NVG 30. I'm not really a fan of any of these night vision units that have square screens. That's why I like the one that I purchased, because it has round screens in it. But as long as you got some type of illumination to go along with it, it'll be fine. Just wanting to purchase one of these and play around with it. However, like I said, I would probably get something else unless I'm planning on getting a PVS 14 at some point. Since you do have, like I said earlier, you do have things included in here that works for PVS 14, so you won't have to rebuy them again. Another thing I would just recommend you doing, you see how the bootubers on YouTube saying that you want to get the best ballistic helmet? You don't need all that stuff. If all you want to do is wear your helmet and have your night vision on it, unless you're planning on, I don't know, being in the military, law enforcement, you don't need a ballistic helmet, or at least a real one. You can buy one of the Chinese ones, and it'll be just fine. Because a lot of things that people talk about, it's something else you need to consider with night vision when you're listening to people. A lot of the people that are doing reviews and they're talking about different night vision unit, they sell stuff on their store, right? They're selling night vision, and so they're telling you stuff that's really not your concern as a civilian. If you're in the military or you in law enforcement, you have a different set of concerns that civilians don't. Like, if you're a civilian, you shouldn't care one way or the other if somebody can see you if you have your night vision on because you have an infrared light. That's just like you having a flashlight, because it doesn't make a difference. It's only like three scenarios you could actually use this thing, and a person can't see you. One of them would be if you're at home and you're in your room at night and the lights out and you sleep, and somebody were to break into your house, and you use this to see who's broken in your house, and then you defend yourself with your firearm that way. That would be a way you could do it. Or say that you own a good portion of land that's yours and you're patrolling it at night and you have no trespassing signs and you have somebody who comes up on your land that's armed and because they have a firearm and they surprise you and you're in a state like say where I live at Florida or Georgia, if they have a firearm and they own private property and it's posted and you're at night and you end up defending yourself, you're fine. But outside of those two scenarios, if you live in America with a stable, functioning government, there's really no need of you worrying that much about the light being visible to other people because that's not really that big of a deal. Now, if you're doing airsoft or something like that and you're going to use it where that most not most I don't know how many because I don't do airsoft, but I don't know how many people when you do airsoft at night actually have night vision. But assuming that it's plentiful and it's a bunch of guys with airsoft units that actually have it, I could see you maybe not wanting to use digital so you can stay hidden. But that's really the only reason why you would want that as a civilian. If you can afford analog purchases, I'm not telling you not to buy analog. If you can afford it, you have the money, then that's fine. But I'm not going to tell you that if you can't afford a $5,000 unit or 10,000 or $20,000 unit, save your money up and don't buy any night vision until then. That's irresponsible. One thing about people saying driving, there's almost unless you're on private property, you hunting at night because on public property like public lands in the forest, they typically don't let you hunt at night. So night hunting really isn't a thing. You can hunt wild boar with night vision, but you can't really use night vision on any other animal when you're hunting. So the fact that you will want, and even then, you're just using night vision to hunt with, and a boar can't see you anyway. So I say worrying about that stuff is not a concern. The guys make a bigger deal of it than it really is, and bear in mind they're trying to sell you night vision. That's what they're really trying to do. So just buy what you can afford and what you like. If you're gonna build a PVS 14, just get the parts kit and build one. It'll be a lot cheaper than buying one off the shelf. And if you build it yourself, you will have the pride of building something yourself. And you can make sure that it's done right. You don't have to worry about something that's mass produced, something that you actually build. Just make sure you have like a anti-static mat so you don't fry your tubes in it. But that's really it. Digital is really meant for the civilian market. And if you're not military or law enforcement, I wouldn't worry about analog unless you got a bunch of cash stashed away. But just bear in mind, some of these PVSs were set you. I mean, PVS 14s are going to set you back about 12 to 1500, and that's just on the kind of the lower end side of it. But the tubes on some of them are like 1500 by themselves. So it really depends on what type of tubes you use if you was doing an analog build. But I would just say until you get to that point, you can get something like this or one of the other ones on the market if that's what you were doing. Like I said, this unit has its problems that you can overcome, but I think the main issue with it is that the manual is too vague and it doesn't really explain to people what exactly you're going to need. Even though this thing does say digital night vision, it should be obvious that if you have digital night vision, you're going to need some type of lighting to go along with it. People, I guess, didn't really understand that. So a lot of people purchased this and they weren't happy with it. So that's the reason why I'm telling you. Oh, I also forgot. If you get this particular one, you're going to need to get the slip over style sacrificial lens and iris kit. The only place I've seen the slip overs are at AliExpress. I haven't seen any I hadn't seen any at Amazon. I looked, but I couldn't find any. But you're definitely going to need that. Like I said before, when you're focusing, if you want to look at objects that are close or objects that are far away, that's what you use the iris for. And that's another thing. I see people doing reviews and they complain about this one, but my issue with a lot of those reviews, they're not using it properly, because if you have your night vision adjusted for distance, you can't see close to you. And if you have it adjusted to see close to you, you can't see distance. That's the way they're designed. That's the reason why they have the iris, where it's meant for you to focus on it and you can zoom in and see an object that's close, and then you zoom out and then you can see the objects that's at distance, right? But you just actually just adjusting the iris, and you're not using the what's the word for it? You're not trying to adjust it. Let's see if I can cut it on. I'm having a hard time really getting this thing so my camera can focus on it. Let's see, can I get you here? I might be able to do it where you can see it pretty good here. I'm gonna kill this light a little bit. And then I'm going to, I have my little light on, so that's gonna suck a little bit. Then I'm gonna cut my vampire light on, at least that's what I'm trying to do anyway. If I didn't have messed up fingers, but okay. So see, that's the vampire light. And you don't really see it shining like that with a naked eye. That's because this camera actually has some, I guess, has some what's the word for it? It has some capability to see a little bit of the IR light. Anyway, let's see, can we see through here? Let's see, can I see that? And I can look here and see just fine with the naked eye, but it's, for whatever reason, my camera doesn't seem to want to focus on it. So let's see, can I get to my target here? Can I get you here? Okay, yeah, you can see that. Looks like. That's, I'm just gonna wait. Can I leave it? Okay, that's that. I'm trying to just leave it. Okay, yeah, I can see that now. So that's the head. Let's cut the light off. And that's just the regular light, not the supplemental light that I have. Wait a minute. Now you see that refreshing. You only see that because of light. If I don't have the lighting on, you don't see that as much. But like I said, the resolution on this isn't that great. But if I kill that other light, let's see what this looks like. If I kill that other light, give me a second. My office is kind of junky. But light. Alrighty. Now, once I kill this light here, let's see, and I have my doors closed, so only thing light I have is from my computer, which is back there. Okay, so if you're seeing that light that you saw, that little refreshing, see it's gone now. Hold on. Since I'm in darkness, I need some more illumination. There we go. So as you can see, that's the target. Let's see, you don't get that refreshing anymore. That was just because the light was hitting it and it doesn't have an IR filter. But that's what it looks like. I'm trying not to move it around. Okay, that looks like my target on the wall. That's my other stuff in my office in here. Let's put this thing back down. Get some more light in here. There we go. I'll cut it back off. So yeah, that's really all I want to show. And you can decide if you want to purchase one of these. It's up to you. But remember, like I said, I recommend you don't buy it. But if you did, as long as you have lighting to go along with it, you should be fine. If you like this video, please like it. That helps me out in the algorithms. And also too, subscribe to my channel for more reviews like this. And I will see you next time.